So I'm going to create a blank presentation, but I mean, if there's ones of these templates that you like, you can use those. You don't necessarily have to start from scratch. I'm gonna just use this blank presentation for right now. Okay. And so
Okay.
you guys are probably gonna come up with some kind of title for your interview, um, or for your presentation. I would definitely, you might consider, okay, so if I come here, you might consider hospitality leadership profile and analysis, or like you might say hospitality leadership profile. And then who did you guys interview?
Um, Elizabeth Atkinson.
I may have misspelled her name, but you get the idea, right? So hospitality leadership
Mm-hmm.
profile of, and then put their name, right? And then of course you would have
Yes.
HAMG 2305, that's our class, fall 2025,
Okay.
and then you would have all of your names. Okay. That's a
Okay.
fairly that's a fairly good title slide. Okay. And
Okay.
then you'll want to insert a new slide. Okay. And if you come to
Okay.
this third page, the step 3 of the presentation, then this is where you could use these titles as the headings of these slides.
Okay.
Okay. And so then we put in a new slide and leadership and management style. Oops. So leadership and management style, motivation, and team dynamics. I mean, you can literally use these as your titles to your slides. And then obviously
Okay. And even if
I wouldn't put conclusion. Maybe I'd do communication on a new one.
okay.
And then you can do a conclusion slide.
Okay.
Okay. And so what I would recommend, just because, like I said, it would be a lot of information for one. Hold on 1 second. Let me check this. Okay. This is, I feel like doing the PowerPoint presentation is going to be way too much work for one individual to do.
Right.
Okay. And so what I would recommend is that maybe you chat with your group and say, who wants to take the leader in their vision? And who wants to
Okay.
take leadership and management style? Who wants to take motivation and team dynamics? Right. And then maybe you all come together for communication and the conclusion. Okay. But
Okay.
I would figure out a way to divide this work between these. Okay. So you're going to obviously right here where it says the leader and their vision, over here, you can use this as the outline. So the name and title and the organization and what sector of the industry. Are they food and beverage? Are they hospitality? Are they hotel? What sector are they, right? And then
Uh-huh.
through your questions that you asked that are related to this section here, okay, the vision and strategy, that's where you can put this information in the on the slide. Okay. I would
Okay.
recommend I would recommend doing less straight text and doing some kind of graphics, utilizing, remember how we talked about using that smart art graphics in order to make things look
Mm-hmm.
appealing. So look and see what kind of things might align with the information. Um, and then it says question to answer on a separate slide. Based on the interview, how clearly does this leader translate the organization's purpose into the daily operations? And so you might do something where, okay, so check this out. As I click on this leader and vision, I'm going to right
Mm-hmm.
click on my mouse. It gives me this menu here, and I'm going to duplicate the slide. So it puts a duplicate slide right
Okay.
here. So that way I don't have to type in the leader and their vision again, right? And
Okay.
so here's this one. Based on the interview, how clearly does the leader translate the organization's purpose into daily operational objectives? Okay. And so using this information here, I might go ahead and put in I might do a smart art right here. When I click on this little caret, it gives me this. You can see how when I put things in here, this is where it updates on the smart art. This is a really cool
Mm-hmm.
way to really show some like polish and professionalism to a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. And so it's super easy. If I look at my form over here, how clearly does the leader translate the organization's purpose into daily operational objectives? And so I'm going to put here something along the lines of translating organization purpose. And then right here in the bullet statements, this is where you'll take those examples from your interview on how they answered those questions. Does that make sense?
Okay, so let's say their answers were fairly long.
Uh-huh.
So how would we put all of that in the in the text right there without it being so that people could see all of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. You would want to summarize it, right? So just like this whole thing right here, based on the interview, how clearly does the leader translate the organization's purpose into daily operational objectives? That's a big long sentence. Okay, so that's a really big long sentence, but I've basically taken it down into translating organization purpose.
Okay.
So that's like the key part of that. And so you might take just bullet statements, right? So you might take the transcript of what the the interview was, and you might just put the first title of the example, like this is what they do. But
Okay.
then when you guys are giving the presentation, then you'll expand on what they said and how they did it, right? So this is what they did, and then this is how they did it. But you would just talk
Okay.
about that. You wouldn't put all that information on the slide because, like you said, that would make it too hard for people to read.
Right.
Okay. So,
Okay.
can I also show you something that I might recommend that you do?
Sure.
Okay. So, let me do this. All right. So, we're going to use some AI. Okay.
Okay.
How familiar are you with using AI?
I'm not familiar at all.
Awesome. So you're going to get familiar with it. This is great. Okay. So
Okay.
this is what I recommend. I'm going to pause the recording just for a second. So this is a transcript from an interview that I did recently. Okay.
Okay.
And you can see how this response right here is relatively long. Okay.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my question. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Hello, this is David. Hello, this is David. So many, so many calls to my office. I don't know how they got my number. Okay. So I'm going to start with my prompt in Google Gemini. Okay. With your
Okay.
prompt in Google Gemini, I'm going to write on my screen for a second. We're going to use what's known as the raft method. Okay.
Okay.
So R is the role. What role are you playing? Okay. What action do you need to take? What format do we want the response to be in? And then what task do you want the AI to do? Okay.
Okay.
So my role, a college student preparing a presentation of a hospitality industry professional. So you don't really want to use names when you're doing this. This is something I learned just recently in a conference I went to. We don't want to use names because you don't know where this data is being stored, right? And so you just want to be very
Right.
generalized with it. Okay. So I'm a college student preparing a presentation of a an interview of a hospitality industry professional. Okay. That's my
Okay.
role. Okay. That's the role. That's the part what I'm doing. Okay. I would like to summarize their responses into bullet points for the audience. Okay. So that's the
Okay.
action. And it's actually the format as well. So the format is bullet points. Okay. Actually, let's
Okay.
change that for bullet points for the slides on the presentation. So that's my format. Okay. And then here is the question that was asked. Okay.
Okay.
And here is their response. So I'm going to go back to my presentation, my interview. Okay. I'm going to
Okay.
copy. So I control C or you can do copy. Come back here and paste it and hit submit. So it's thinking about the question. It's looking at the analyzing the interview responses. Okay. And it's thinking some more. Okay. And so then this is how, in bullet statements, this is summarizing this long response right here into
Mm-hmm.
this bullet statements right here. Okay. Now, is this 100% accurate?
No.
No. You still have to, right? So you still have to go through and read it because you guys are going to be presenting this in class. So you can't just have AI create it and then you create the PowerPoint and then you move on. You still need to know what the information is because if you're presenting this in class, you don't want to read off the slides. You want to present the information in an authentic way. Okay. If you
Right.
just have AI do everything for you, then you're not going to be very authentic with it because you're just going to have to read from the slides. You want to be able to take this information and um, maybe you want to add your own um, voice or you want to add the examples specifically from the interview. But so basically, this is going to be like a good starting point, but then you're going to want to edit it and get it ready for the actual presentation. Okay. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes. Now
Okay.
I and and does everyone have Google Gemini?
I mean, Google Gemini is free. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, if you have a Gmail account, then you have access to Google Gemini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you just log into your Google when you go to gemini.google.com, you can log into your Gmail account and that will be here.
Okay.
Okay? And so what you might do for this particular what you might do for this particular time is okay, so now I have this one done, right? So now I
Mhm.
have another question. And so I would say here is, I go to the same Gemini. Oops. I don't have to start a new one, right? It's basically like you're chatting. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so what you might do in this case, okay, so let me look at another question. That was a pretty lengthy response. Here we go. Here's another question. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit different way. I'm going to read um, I'm going to read through this and I'm going to read through this response and I'm going to pull out things that I think that is pretty, um, important to share. And
Okay.
so I'm going to say, I kind of like this. Um, Pick what's most useful to you and your leadership style. I like this. Okay. Um, Probably not the way I would do things. I like that. I did approach differently. Um, so this is kind of a very direct, and this is more of a speak softly. Okay, so this is information. Now this is where I'm not letting AI do the work for me because I still have to process this information, right?
Okay.
And so I am going to copy her entire response into here. Um, Let me see how I want to format this. Here's another question. Can you describe any negative impacts mentorship may have had on your leadership development? Here is the response. After reviewing the response, so this is me, right?
Mhm.
I feel, where'd that go? guess I have to be on full screen. Okay. So after reviewing the response, I noticed they did not think mentorship had any negative impacts. However, they did mention that we, let me pause this so you don't have to listen to me think and type, and I'll start recording in just a second. Okay, so after reviewing the response, I noticed they did not think mentorship had any negative impacts. However, they did mention that mentees can learn habits from their mentors and decide how that fits within their leadership style. Am I on the right track? Okay. So by
Okay.
doing this, this is very different. The first example I gave you, AI did everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second example, this is where you are putting your thoughts in. My thoughts are based on what I saw and heard. This is what I'm thinking. Am I on the right track? So you're asking basically um, if you are understanding the response as it addresses the question. If not,
Okay.
can you give me some suggestions to get back on track? Okay. And then I say,
Okay.
here is the response. Okay. So now it's going to do its thinking. It's going to look at the question. It's going to look at the response. It's going to take your content into consideration about what you think is the key information from that response. And then it's going to create another slide. So again,
That's really cool.
that first method, basically you let AI do everything. And that's probably not the best idea because you still want the content to be your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so here we go, slide number 3, follow up, any negative impacts. And so you can go through here and look at, mentorship is not about copying the mentor, but learning from them consciously, building and adapting your own style. And so that kind of goes along. See how it says right here in my chat? Your analysis is perfect. The professional
Mm-hmm.
explicitly sidesteps the word negative and instead describes a very mature process of critical thinking. And so um, this is where AI is going to help you. And if you needed to maybe like, okay, maybe you need to tweak something, or maybe you're not quite understanding it correctly, this is where it can help you give you that information. Okay. And so
Yeah.
this is what you can do really with each one of these. Let me hold on. Why is my, oh, that's because my Word document is there. So that's what you could do with each one of these and the questions that you asked, right? Those questions that you
Mm-hmm.
asked during the interview, as they relate to each section here. Um, And then you definitely want to have this question to answer on a separate slide. So, how effective is their management philosophy? Okay. Um, and so that's something that you all would put in there. Like, how well do you think? This is not necessarily something that you might get as a direct answer from the interview, but if you think because of the examples that they shared, let's say for their management philosophy and navigating typical hospitality challenges. So, what were those challenges that you all identified, and how do they answer questions about those? Right?
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just now I'm confused on the AI. So,
That's okay. I mean, it takes a while, and honestly, you don't have to use it, but that's a recommendation. And I recorded this, so I'm going to send you the recording. Okay.
okay.
And then if you want, you can also share the recording with your classmates, and
Okay.
you can watch the recording and look at the timestamp. So if it's at 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and I was talking about the AI, you can tell your classmates, hey, watch this video and look at this time frame. So that way you can kind of see how Mr. Uminsky recommends we use AI to help us develop
Okay.
our PowerPoints.
Okay.
Okay. Do you use PowerPoint or do you use Google Slides?
I use PowerPoint.
Okay, sounds good. So there is a way to share your PowerPoint with your classmates and allow them to edit your PowerPoint. So that way you have one document. And I can show you
Okay.
all on Tuesday night in class if you want me to.
Okay.
Okay.
That would
Because
be great.
you guys all have access to that because of Alamo being a student for Alamo colleges. You all have access to that.
Okay.
Cool.
And then I have another question. Are we still recording?
Yep, I can stop if you'd like.
Okay.